guys, it's Housewife in Heels. So today I have Figaro down there, I have Bernie right here, and I have Miss Beautiful. You can barely see her, but she's there. And maybe even a tiny tiger shaking my camera. So, besides the cats, we are here to talk about the Miss Z Mules. I have been very curious about these shoes because I love my Me Dollies so much. I would forever and always purchase Me Dollies if I had all the funds in the world to do so. I would get them in every color. So my curiosity was piqued when I heard about this brand new mule coming out, especially with the padding. I love my Me Dollies, so when the Miss Z Mules came about at my local boutique, I had to go run and check them out, and I sure did. Now, I do have some thoughts about these shoes. And in order to give context about where my thoughts come from, I gotta tell you that I have a very narrow foot with a high arch. I am considered probably to be the Louboutin ideal client. Now, the Miss Z's are not meant for the clientele that they would typically have shopping their stores. The Miss Z's are the pump and the mule meant for the greater community at large who are not blessed with teensy little narrow feet. They're meant for people who have, I guess, a normal sized foot, an average width foot. They are also definitely keeping the consumer in mind by trying to make them more comfortable with padding. I feel like I've already kind of talked about that in my original Miss Z pump video, so feel free to check that out if you have not already. But the first thing that surprised me going in store and even just getting some information about the mules is that the lowest size that they carry is a 36. And I found that to be quite odd because Louboutin tends to be very size inclusive, at least as far as the smaller end of the spectrum is concerned. I don't know about the larger end. I would need to kind of keep tabs on that and provide more information as I get it, but I found that so odd. I'm someone who can go down to a 35 and a half depending on the shoe. At Louboutin, it tends to be just for pumps for me. I know for sure that would be my size in the Miss Z pumps, which they do make, but not the mule. I wasn't even really given a rhyme or a reason. I can only speculate that making fewer sizes available was to cut the cost of production, since these shoes are kind of revolutionary in the Louboutin world, putting in the padding and doing the everlasting sole. So that struck me at first. So if you're part of the little itty bitty feet squad, then I would advise you to get your heart set on something else since you will probably be disappointed. So while I was in the store and after immediately finding out this was the smallest size they got, I figured, okay, I'll try on a pair of 36. And you'll see in a few minutes that I tried them on and they fit the length of my foot fine. However, they felt very loose on my foot. I didn't feel secure walking in them like I would say my Me Dollies. It wasn't a particularly fabulous feeling on the foot. It kind of was leaving me with a little bit of anxiety, and don't mind my cat shaking my camera, he likes to do that. So we're just gonna ignore that and move on. But yeah, if you have a narrow foot, the Miss Z Mule is not going to be suited for you. The toe boxes are definitely meant for people with a more average size foot, which is great. The vast majority of the population deserves to have Louboutins that fit their feet if they so want them. It just sucks for people like myself because I don't get to enjoy them. But I have plenty of Louboutins that I do enjoy and I'm grateful for, so I don't think that it's gonna ruin my day. But something else that I noticed about these shoes is that they do not have as high of an arch as Louboutin tends to like to make, since they tend to go for a very aesthetic-y sort of pin-up look. They like to make their footwear with a very high arch. So if you're someone like me and you have a high arch, they're not gonna work out for you too great. That's probably another reason why they felt very, very odd, strange on my own feet. Just not a good fit. If you are the usual Louboutin client, if you have 1,000,001 Louboutins like myself, the Miss Z's, at least the Mules, are not going to be it for you. If you're someone who has more so an average foot and you're maybe looking to get your first ever Louboutins, you want something to wear for your graduation maybe, or whatever special occasion it is that you want to wear red bottoms for, then maybe the Miss Z Mules would be good for you, since they are something that you could definitely dress up or down. And I think that they're a great concept. I just wish that Louboutin would make styles inclusive for everyone. Like, for say, the sake of argument, Stuart Weitzman, he offers shoes for people with narrow feet, with average feet, and wide feet. Oh, we have a cat fight. Sorry, it's a little bit of a mandatory upset cameo from my tiny tiger because he wants to play and my older cats are not having it. And I completely forget what I was saying because he wants to be a tiny tiger and he wants to run around and play. See, I'm not so tiny anymore. So let's go ahead and put him down and hopefully he'll stay out of trouble, since he has a hard time staying out of trouble. But my spiel about the Miss Z Mules is that if you're searching for your first Louboutin and you know for sure you got an average or a wider foot, check them out. They're probably going to be fabulous for you. A great starter Louboutin with the everlasting sole and all the padding on the inner sole. Overall, I think they're fabulous shoes. They're just not meant for the typical Louboutin wearer in mind. So that will about do it for my initial thoughts. There will be a voiceover over the try-on section. So let's go ahead and get right on into that, shall we? Here I am in the Louboutin boutique in the aforementioned shoes, the Miss Z's. This happens to be in the blush rose color, if memory serves me correctly. I guess they're doing a different color of nude for these specifically. I'm not sure why, but I'm not mad at it. It's a pretty color. Anyway, you can see right there, as I showed my arch, just how big these shoes are, and you can kind of see at this awkward angle that there is a lot of shoe hanging out behind my heel. So honestly, I think this size is just a little too big for me. I think I would need to go down a half size. Now, if you're watching this inquiring about sizing, if you have a narrow foot, you're going to want to go down a half size, because I have narrow feet, and you can see they look a little bit wonky on me, and I think that's just a sizing issue, not per se an issue of the shoe. If you have average feet, you're going to want to stay true to size. From my understanding, these shoes run very true to size. If you have a wide or a wider foot at least, then you're going to want to go up at least a half size, maybe a whole size, just depending on how wide your feet actually is, because you're going to need that extra room to accommodate the width of your foot. But other than that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little spiel and try on. If you would like to support me, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow me on TikTok. I'm trying to hit 10K for obvious reasons. If you would like to further support me, I have Patreon starting at $3 a month. And if you would like something tangible from me, go ahead and check out my Poshmark closet. It is linked down below. And other than that, I will see you guys in the next pair of shoes, which is actually coming sooner than I thought. They were very much a surprise, so our next video might just happen to be a pretty special unboxing. So I will see you guys then. Bye!